Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm here with another scout report, and Sean Dyche said it was unlikely that we were going to sign any more players, but suddenly there's a big link. It's Orel Mangala, formerly of Nottingham Forest, which is why today I'm joined by Matt Davis from the Forest Focus podcast to chat all about him and find out who this player actually is. So, how are you doing, Matt Davis?
Good, surviving the transfer window. This morning we've been linked with players that I've never heard of, and it's carried on all week. So looking forward to talking about a player I actually know a little bit about.
It's getting to that point in the window, isn't it, where everything's
Mm.
hotting up and you're hoping for some deals to get over the line. You guys have had a bit of business already, some interesting business actually, and now it's a player who used to play for you, might be coming back to the Premier League, even though you only sold him a few weeks ago, didn't you? So, Orel Mangala, who is he, and what would you say about him to start with?
I mean, well, first and foremost, I think he's a good player. He came to us from Stuttgart for about 12 million. Had a reasonable first season with us in a struggling team. We can get onto that if you want about why he struggled a bit. Second season, he was really, really good. Our best, undoubtedly our best midfielder in the first half of last season. And then he was kind of the sacrificial PSR lamb in the January. We loaned him out to Lyon for I think they paid a 10 million loan fee and they had an obligation to buy him for almost 20 million. I think we basically got about 30 million for him, which is fantastic business. And then it seems like either Lyon have got money troubles or they want to ship him out to free up spaces in their squad. So yeah, it looks like he's on the move, and it'll be interesting how he gets on at Everton. Certainly.
Yeah, well, it's quite weird that they made that transfer permanent only recently, and now suddenly he's about to go on loan again. And the rumors are that this is a loan to start with an option to buy for around 33 million. And to me, that looks like maybe they're just trying to get the money back from what you paid. But do you think he's worth that? Do you think he's a player that we should pay that money for? Because you know that Everton have real financial struggles.
I mean, if you've got financial struggles, no, I don't think because 33 million is like a top end player with your budget and our budget. It's like that's your big signing, and I don't think he's worth that. When he was playing really like super well for us, we had people on Forest social media were saying, "Oh, what's he worth?" And people were saying 30 million when he was in like prime form. Obviously, it doesn't sound like he is. It sounds like he's. I think he had a few injuries at Lyon and don't think he's been at his best. He did go to the Euros, and I think he played. I haven't checked, but I'm sure I saw him on the pitch for Belgium at the Euros. So he's obviously a good player. But 33 million is like top end budget that clubs like us are spending on strikers normally, not defensive ish midfielders.
Yeah, and well, he'll might be coming in to replace his Belgian counterpart, Amadou Onana, mightn't he? And obviously, it seems like they're two quite different players. But do you think there's any similarities? How would you describe Orel Mangala as a player? What is he like?
Um, he's not really a number six, and he's not really a number eight. What he is really good at, he'll take the ball in close quarters. He's a good passer. He can drive forwards on the ball, get you out of trouble. And he's someone who can offer control in a midfield. That was what we struggled with when we came up because we didn't see enough of the ball. We were having like 20% possession in games, 25%. And that's probably why I think he didn't really have his best season. He was good in his first season, but he wasn't as effective. Second season, when we had more of the ball, he was really good. And there was some games where he was undoubtedly our man of the match. Like I say, he'll take it under pressure, which is obviously the sign of a good midfield player, and he can move you up the pitch by progressing the ball nicely. Doesn't he can put a tackle in and he can score a goal, but I don't think he's in Anana's class, and I don't think from what I've seen of Anana, I'm not sure he's quite that kind of player. I'm kind of interested where he fits in at Everton because of the style that you have a reputation for playing. Maybe it's unfair, but you seem to bypass midfield quite a lot. So I don't know exactly. I would kind of put him more without seeing too much of him in the Andre Gomez mold as someone who's meant to be good on the ball. Maybe I've got that wrong about Gomez as well.
No,
But that
that's
kind
probably
of player.
Gomez's strength, to be fair. That's it's quite
Mm.
surprising to me to hear this, really, because I thought he was an out and out number six, and really that's probably what Everton needed. We have James Garner in the team who is that
Mm.
player who's good on the ball. He's a bit better in the tackle, perhaps, but Idrissa Gana Gueye is a hunter. You can't really play him as a number six because he goes to press so often. And they're now new signing Tim Erabunum, obviously a young player who's looked really bright so far, but isn't fully ready, I imagine, to play every game of the season. So we needed midfield depth, and I'm surprised that he is more of a on the ball player because it might mean that perhaps we are trying to just get a bit more control in those away games where you're getting constant pressure and you feel like
Yeah,
you're kind of against a wave. Maybe it's just to try and get on the ball a bit more because players like Idrissa Gana Gueye are known for being poor on the ball. Abdoulaye Doucouré as well. It's that lack of passing ability, I think. So maybe that's why he could be coming in. But I thought he was
yeah.
more of like a destroyer.
He can play that. He can play as a six because he's disciplined, but he's not someone who's going to go smashing into tackles and break up play all the time. But he is a number six if you need him to be. He is a number eight if you need him to be. He's kind of a hybrid of the two. Like he has some really good away games. I think you're right when you say that, Ellis. Like Wolves away springs to mind, where we were under pressure and he got us out of trouble quite a lot in that game, where he'd take the ball with two or three players around him and he beat a couple and then he'd pop it off and stuff like that. And having seen, I watched your game against Spurs and there's quite a lot, and you were just absolutely battered. So probably you do need someone like that. Like, obviously, I love Jimmy Garner because he was great for us on loan, and we all wanted to sign him. I think he's a better footballer than Garner, but he doesn't have the snap in the tackle of Garner, I would say, from what I remember of him.
Right, that's interesting because Garner can do that side of the game, can't he? But we want more from James Garner too, really, because when he joined Everton, we were saying, oh, well, he's meant to be really good at set pieces. He's meant to have a bit of a long range shot on him as well. And we haven't really seen that yet. So maybe them two could work together. Can you imagine them perhaps in a pair together?
I think so. I think so. Yeah, because you're not going to replace Onana directly, are you? Because I mean, I think Onana's brilliant, and it's a shame you've lost him. But I think it's really good business by Villa. To replace him, you're going to have to spend another 60 million or something, aren't you? So it's kind of ways and means of doing it. And I could see them being an effective pairing, certainly. Like I don't think probably your team and our team are probably definitely going to be in the bottom half, aren't we? So I would say that yeah, they could be a good pairing, and Idrissa Gana Gueye, he fits in the mix as well. So yeah, it'd be really interested to see how he fits in. When I saw the link, I was surprised because I think he's a good footballer, but I wonder how he fits in the way Dyche's teams generally play, how it pans out if he does come to you.
So when you say like control on the ball and good passing ability, is that kind of your short, intricate passes between the midfielders, or
Mm.
can he sometimes play a ball out to the wingers or open up, gaps with like can he improve the wingers perhaps by playing through balls to them, or is it more that short passing in the middle just to kind of keep the game ticking over and settle everyone down a bit?
It's probably more the latter. You can do that if you want to ping a ball out to midfielder, you can do, but it's more like taking the ball more as a six and then popping it into a number eight or a striker, like breaking lines with good sharp passes, rather than just lumping it long. So yeah, he can if you want, if you need him to knock it to Harrison out wide or something like that, he can definitely do that. But it's more like if you've got someone who's playing as a number 10, getting it into their feet or getting into a right winger's feet to take on a fullback, and yeah, that kind of stuff is where I think he's really good at. That's probably what he's best at, and probably what got him into the Belgian team. Yeah, I think he only scored like maybe 2 goals for us. That's not really his game. But he also like someone on our podcast, Lewis McGugan, who used to play for us, always thought that he could play higher and be a driving number 8 type midfielder, because he can carry the ball and he can nip in and win it. So he is versatile. But I think his best assets are, moving you up the pitch by progressive like short passes or carrying the ball himself, probably.
And what would you say he struggles at the most? What are the things that Everton fans are going to be frustrated at him for? What would you say his weaknesses are?
I don't think he's got like. There's nothing glaring in his game that stands out.
That's good to know.
Um, yeah, yeah. I think he's a good footballer. He's not someone who I would say is elite at anything, but he's not bad at anything. He's a really good, steady player. Um, I think the first season we were here, we didn't really know what he was best at. Like you kind of want a midfielder to either win the ball, pass the ball, or score a goal. And he didn't score a goal, and he wasn't a defensive destroyer. And we didn't see the best of him on the ball till the second season. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think he's got any massive weaknesses. He can win a challenge. He doesn't pull out of any challenges. He's committed. He seems like a really good like person in the dressing room. He seemed really popular at Forest with the players, and the fans really took to him. He's like he communicated with fans well on social media, which people kind of value. So I think he's a real steady 7 out of 10 player. If you play him in the right way, I think it'll do you a good job, definitely.
So how have you replaced him since then? Who is now playing in that spot?
We've got Ibrahim Sangare is a proper number 6 who we got from PSV Eindhoven, and he also had a really bad first season, but there was a mitigation. Like we were really badly hit by AFCON. I don't know how badly it impacts you, but we had like 7 players go, and he came back with malaria, which is obviously a nightmare, and it really hampered his second half of the season. So he's doing really well now. We've got him. And then we've got Ryan Yates, Danilo, who you might have saw had that awful ankle injury in the first game. So he's out. And then we've got Elliot Anderson and Nico Dominguez, who kind of play as more like more attacking, and Sangare sits. So we've changed the way. Obviously, we changed manager. We had Cooper, and he was more defensive. Nuno is a little more attacking. We just play one number 6 and one more driving midfielder. So Mangala was playing more as the driving midfielder in the few games when Nuno came in, but he didn't pick him in the team straight away. He was on the bench for a few weeks, but I wouldn't read anything into that. I think it was because we felt like he was going to go, and they needed the money to avoid the points deduction, which obviously didn't happen. And you know all about points deductions, so it really put a stain on our season, even though we got rid of him, but we still got the points hit. But yeah, there was no. I don't think it was a case that Nuno didn't fancy him. It's just we kind of knew he was going. We were just looking for a taker at that point.
Right, I see. It seems like hopefully the next few days can be busy for both clubs. I was really surprised when you brought Elliot Anderson in because that seems such
Mm.
an inflated fee. But then I imagine there was a PSR linked to Vlachodimos, wasn't it, the goalkeeper?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
at first I saw that 40 mil, like,
Yeah, well, they paid a reported 20 million for him for our third choice keeper, and we paid 35 for Anderson, so it worked out to about 15 million, which is probably about right. But you guys were involved in it, weren't you? Well, with like was that Lewis Dobbin deal a bit
yeah.
questionable, I guess,
Lewis
or not?
Dobbin and then the Villa central midfielder Tim Irabunum. And I think we
Yeah.
might have got the better end of the deal with that because at the moment Tim seems like he fits the team a bit better than Onana actually did. Because like you said before, we do often bypass the midfield, so we didn't really get the best out of Onana. But it seems now
Mm.
so far Tim looks really promising. But hopefully we can have a busy last few days because we still need a winger, we still need a central midfielder, and I think a lot of Evertonians argue we'd need a fullback as well. What do you think you guys need?
We're pretty well set. We just need a striker. We're having this crazy search for a striker. We were almost signed Eddie Nketiah, which I was really happy with. For a lot of Forest fans weren't. They turned their nose up at him. But I thought he'd been good. And there's a guy called Santiago Jimenez who plays for Feyenoord, who's our big target for about 30 million. And then we're linked with the goalkeeper all summer, Ramsdale and Sam Johnston. But Matt Sells, who we've got, is fine. And then I think we're about right. We signed Alex Moreno on loan from Aston Villa, who feels like some good business. So yeah, we're in a good place. What I mean, are Everton that bad? Because I know you've had a terrible start. Are you just struggling because you haven't got Trippier, you haven't got Branthwaite? Are you not panicked or not?
I think a lot of Blues are a bit worried at the moment. Thankfully, we won in the cup last night, but after those first 2 games, we just look so short, and we have got a bit of an injury crisis at the moment. But when we lose a few players, we seem so light, and I imagine the midfielder needs to come in to actually replace Onana because the young lad Tim
Mm,
probably came in to replace Gomez, and then you need fullbacks because we've got Ashley Young, Vitaly Mikalenko, Seamus Coleman, and Nathan Patterson, who most of them are injured, and if they're not injured, they're over 35 years old. So it's like it's not ideal, really. But we'll be hoping to be active, although Sean Dyche keeps saying that it's unlikely. But thankfully, I've been able to do a scout report video today because there is a murmur that we might sign someone. But thanks so much for telling us all about Orel Mangala.
no worries. I hope it works out well if you do sign him.
Cheers, mate. So make sure you check out the Forest Focus podcast for everything on Nottingham Forest at the moment, which could be close rivals to Everton this season. We've both been through a lot last year with the points deductions, but I think we'll both agree that we want a settled season this year with none of that stuff from last year.
Yeah, and no VAR controversies after that game at Goodison Park with all those Ashley Young penalty appeals as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think Everton fans might argue a bit differently to that one, but yeah, hopefully no
That's fine.
VAR controversies when we're not involved in the same game. But thank you
Great.
very much for watching, guys. Let us know in the comments what you think of Orel Mangala. I know many of you will have seen him at Nottingham Forest, and some of you may even be tracking the players at Lyon now with the involvement of John Textor potentially joining the club as our new owner. So let us know what you think. Please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the Toffee Blues. But that is all for now. See you later.